Acumental.
It's Termy K.
And we are the Palmer Squares. We came up with our name. Well, we were in the mix for a new name. We called ourselves Ordinary Dogs as our first rap name, which is to rip off of Typical Cats. It was another Chicago group that we,
Big Ups Quell.
We were inspired by. So that was a rip-off, and then we called ourselves Illiteracy, and that was also another group.
Illinois literacy,
but
also like they're illiterate. How do they rap?
But we were basically in the mix for a new name when we moved from
thought
our hometown to
illiteracy is a
Chicago.
little too clever. We don't want them to have to think that much right out the gate.
Yeah, we moved to
And
Palmer
there's like
Square
three
Park.
other illiteracies.
Oh, no. We finished. We moved to Palmer Square Park in 2009, I think. 2008.
December 2000.
And
December
we live a
15th,
block off
to be
Palmer
exact.
Square Park, and I just walked through there to the train and realized, like, oh, Palmer Square is like Hip Hop 101, repping the block. And we're just like the two square dudes.
My influences started with my dad, who was a bass player for the Effigies, a Chicago punk band in the 80s. So I grew up, and then I have two older brothers. So I grew up with just guitars and drums and shit all over the house.
I didn't start out as like a hip hop head, but then I don't know. I listened to everything. I discovered Beastie Boys and Wu-Tang when I was like 10, and then it just grew from there. I spent like high school being that music connoisseur. I just like to collect and try and turn people on to stuff that I was sure that they hadn't heard of before. We don't even listen to a lot of music nowadays. Kind of listen to a lot of talk radio and comedy stuff and try and keep other artists outside of our box and keep our thing all us, just to avoid like any unintentional outside influence that rubs off. You listen to an album over and over and over, it starts to maybe rub off in your style, and you're just like,
The two of us, for years have been gathering and evolving influences and all that, but I think in common, since before either of us had any intention of rapping or creating anything in particular, George Carlin has always been a part of like our entertainment and somehow been laying the groundwork for, philosophy and, the stuff that we create.
even though he wasn't a musician, I'd consider Carlin to be like one of my biggest musical influences, just because where the
first
the
EP
thought process
is
comes
completely Spooky Language is a George Carlin quote that we used the entire album to kind of pay homage to him and everything that he kind of taught us through his work, and that's kind of always been a part of our goal. And where we find inspiration is not necessarily through, it doesn't have to be a musician, it's people who can transcend what they do and turn it into social commentary, which was, some people classify Carlin as more of a social commentator than a comedian.
People told us before that they like the loose nature of our music, that we don't take ourselves too seriously, or that it's silly sometimes too, and I feel like back to Carlin, like he was saying some heavy, just like social commentary stuff that nobody else was saying, talking about like abortion and politics and crazy stuff, and he can get away with that because you could keep people laughing while doing so, and we may be saying some deep shit from time to time, but in the next line we're talking about our balls and stuff.
At this point, neither of us really listens to that much music. We listen to the Opie and Anthony radio show every day, which is 4 hours just of talk radio. But it's comedy, and with that you get perspective, but also I've seen, while becoming a listener and everything, a lot of similarities between stand-ups and rappers, where just in terms of how autobiographical your work is.
We started rapping in high school. And
throw some cheese on that bitch.
We would start bored in class, jotting dumb rhymes and just showing them to each other between classes. And it all started from just like a silly, and we just like, I just remember just like, oh, I'm gonna say, we still do that, like, we never have it figured out, but I'm like, I'm gonna say, something about
still do that just in the kitchen.
Jalmerson, and then I'm gonna say something about the Palmers, and so like
we do that with
we
an
would just
iPhone
show each
now
other
instead of a fucking science notepad.
But we started out on some like Weird Al parody shit almost, where we like the first thing we ever recorded was, well, when we were in high school, there was a song called "Throw Some D's on That Bitch" by Rich Boy, and then
Kids
we did.
today may not have heard that one.
It's a throwback.
It was
a classic.
a golden oldie.
But we made a song called "Throw Some Cheese on That Bitch" about just sandwiches and barbecuing, and it was the dumbest thing ever. But like, you know, our friends found it amusing.
Got some peanut butter jelly that I could put in my belly, but it don't go good with dairy, so I'm off to the deli. That's some ahead of the time shit by Acumental.
And it's it don't go good with cheese. You flubbed my line, but it's okay. I'll let it slide.
Cheese is dairy, though.
Oh, that's not what I said, so. But no, it was on some goofy shit, and like I don't know if we ever would have made it to where we are now if we weren't encouraged by like our buddies who were just like they just loved it and they ate it up. Nobody else in our group of friends in high school was pretending to be
songs about food.
So it started out very tongue-in-cheek, just as a goof, and then it stayed that way.
Eating a sandwich.
It stayed that way for a while. And it's still, we still, try not to take ourselves extremely seriously, but we got more serious about our lyrics and the rhyme writing process.
Yeah,
but it was strictly like a joke to start.
I think we started like a lot of peeps, like garage bands and shit. You start like covering. It's kind of hard to just like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking make a beat today and write a rap. Like just jump into it like that. It's easier to learn. When you learn guitar, you learn someone else's songs first. And I think it was getting the comments that started to come in regularly and that said like, we don't suck.
Verbatim, you don't suck. Send.
Yeah, just like the rarity of negativity in the comments, we finally started to realize like, hey, maybe like we can actually like make good shit with this.
We were probably the last people to give ourselves credit. We were like,
yeah, I think like anything that
we do suck.
Been
right?
wasting your time with, like eventually you're gonna start to wanting to improve just so that it doesn't, even if it's a hobby, you want to improve so it doesn't feel like you're wasting time or anything.
A couple goofy bastards pedaling backwards, looking for a bitch to gag on cheddar and bratwurst. Body painted bullseyes, my lady ate her laxatives.
We sucked.
Dumb shit.
We were not good. So if anything, like people that hate on us now, like they have no idea. Like,
yeah,
we were a lot worse.
Give me
so let us get to where we're going. It takes a while.
Yeah, we were awful. I think Matt's shit was fucking like written, like had dope writing, but we still just like even the fucking got some peanut butter jelly that I could put in my belly.
Quote that again? Okay.
Good with cheese, but it could go. That's like better. As sad as it may be, that's better than most amateur rhyme writers could write a bar.
We started, he mentioned the YouTube ciphers, that kind of got us over the hump. That was maybe our last phase of like not giving ourselves enough credit. That we were like, there's tons of people just like us that, don't look like a rapper or whatever, but they're killing it. So we decided to start just kind of like uploading stuff to our YouTube page. We didn't have a manager. We didn't have studio resources or money to afford professional recordings, so we just had our camera and we would rap at the camera and memorize our verses and just do one long take. And now that we developed a fan base there, and then we were able to get off of YouTube a little bit and put some EPs together. We just released our first full-length project in October called Finna, and now we're working on our next one. And in addition to more like YouTube stuff, but it was important to make music in addition to just like rap videos.
Our own verses and shit are done solo, a lot more solo than people might expect.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that we just like sit in the living room and like bounce ideas off each other until a song is made, and we do all of our writing independently in our own respective bedrooms. And then I usually have like the radio or a movie on just as like a distraction, because I need a distraction, and I always think that if I'm gonna look up, I might see a thing. And it worked the other day. Like I was watching The Negotiator and a fucking 4-bar Negotiator reference. So just to have some sort of stimuli in the corner where maybe you could like, I'm uninspired, and you look up and you're watching some horror movie and a dude gets his head chopped off. Like, I'm gonna chop your head off. And you go back to it. But it always starts with those 3 tabs while I'm playing a beat. And it's just like, all right, who is Chris Sabian? So I go and I search it, and then I put like Arabian in rhyme zone, and then I go like, so I just have all my options in front of me, and it keeps me a little more focused when I write nowadays. So I just like to have words in front of my face and at least be, as something comes to me, as I'm still like vibing it out in my head, I'm like, all right, what's a synonym for that? And then in due time, a verse comes together, and voila, magic. We were never collaborative, like from the jump like that. Like just yesterday, we keep opposite as schedules, but we were both home yesterday, so I was like, let's link up on some music, and then I was like, so I have a 16 for this, and he had a 24 for that, so okay, I'm gonna work on this, and it's not something we're used to doing, is actually meeting up and being like, but now we have a lot more on our plate, so we kind of have to ensure that the progression maintains, but that's kind of something we do nowadays, is make sure via email or just whenever we are both home, like, hey, if you got a second, did you work on this? Did you hear this beat from this guy? And just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page and working on the same stuff, so that he might write 4 songs to stuff I'm not working on, and then I write 4 songs, and then that doesn't do us any good because it's all to opposite shit. But as far as the writing process itself, at least I always write. I'm pretty pen and padless these days. I use my computer and Microsoft Word, but I set up my Word document. I keep all my rhymes in one Word document, which is rather disorganized because it's like legitimately over 300 pages. I actually just had to go through and like separate my 300-page Word document into like old shit,
I separate
existing
mine,
shit.
and it's just as unorganized because then it's just a folder of
I just
names.
know which page numbers are which. Like, all right, I'm gonna go back into the 100s because that's where I wrote this shit.
Just names.
We're not good at like between song banters and ad libs. Like, we suck at introducing ourselves. We never. A lot of times we just don't. We go up there and we don't say Palmer Squares one time.
Cancer.
But between the songs, I don't know. Like, I feel like the audience gets a good representation of like the actual us. I've been to a lot of rap shows, especially since we've been to Palmer Squares and played a lot. You see a lot of other rappers. A lot of people, they just want to look the part. They're just touching their hat and doing whatever the nose thing is. They just touch the nose. What the fuck? There's so much about the look. You can tell some people like take their shirt off and throw it, even if it's like an indoor gig and it's pretty lukewarm temperatures. You can tell they take the shirt off at the same part in the same song at every show.
Chances earned taking his shirt off. I think that's what a lot of people like about us. Is this, they feel they're getting the real
That's
McCoy.
Just them. That's just us.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I feel like we're talking to each other on stage. Like, I never take the mic away from my mouth. A lot of things that should probably be communicated off mic, or just like, I just say everything into there. And even if we're goofing about some shit and I don't know, we're just kind of being ourselves because we suck at being phony, and just be like, I need everybody to put the fucking hands up. All y'all in the back, I can't play my next song until you move up. Like, we're not demanding like that. I just did it. I can do it well if I wanted to. It's just phony.
Do that.
You need to be yourself and don't like demand things that you don't deserve from your audience. Where it's just like, I need y'all to turn the fuck up. If y'all ain't turned, dude, turn me up. It's fucking like respect. It's earned, not deserved. Like, play your song, and if it's turned, I'm finna turn up. Like, one fan story sticks out for me. It was just a goofy fan experience. Was that dude that we played Ace Bar, and it was my birthday's January 6th, and it was a January 5th show. So by the time it was midnight, it was my birthday, and we were looking to turn up. So like, this dude had driven far too. I don't remember from where, but he
Kalamazoo.
All right, but he drove.
I think he was at the. Was that after Okaloosa?
I don't know.
He might have been.
He's come to several shows, but the first time we met him, he found out it was my birthday, and he'd just seen us, and then he took us to a strip club, like at some odd hour of the morning. But then, that fan woke up on our floor the next day. So hopefully that was a fun experience for them.
Fucking before we were even rapping, I commented in response to another friend from high school's comment on a picture, like, hey, hit me up sometime, and then left my number. So I get a fucking text, sup. So then you get the random number, it just says sup. You spend 5 minutes speculating, and then finally type back, like, who dis? And fucking 4 more interactions, I finally get the explanation that basically this creep friended someone who he's a fan of, and then saw their number left on a picture comment, and then he texted sup like I was just going to respond, like, not shit at the crib, you. I don't know who you are. Didn't even, like, know hi.
Yeah, those are some funny fan encounters. Is like, we've been mildly stalked by people that are just like looking up clearly Google mapped the area. Like, do you guys live by, like by Palmer Park? There's a church over there. It's like, dude, you're not from Chicago. You're clearly just like creeping on our neighborhood, trying to just see where we are, and that's a little weird. But.
Yeah.
So last time, we're the Palmer Squares. I'm Ecumenical.
Truth Diggins.
That's Term K, and this is a Ray John exclusive. So keep calm, folks. Ray John. Keep calm on Ray John. All right. It's just our Matt McConaughey impression.
What's your usual pre-show routine?
I feel like you're gonna shit your pants.
Nervous dump. Just take a nervous shit.
If you don't drop a nervous deuce, I don't know what you guys.
Isn't that always crazy? Like you just feel great all day, and then it's just like, all right, you guys ready in 2 minutes? Like, oh, I have to shit right now.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm not ready, but for some reason, it's just my stomach's way of reminding me. Like
you're about
I
to
don't
go on
already
stage
know.
'cause you're shitting.
Yeah, like I know. I see the stage, and I gotta shit. But you changed the energy of the room. It was all you. It's like when you fart and everyone leaves. Gives you a little pride. Trust me, I know how to get turned, but I need to be
elbows.
made.
It's all elbows. I'm turned right now. Well, we went from throw some cheese on that bitch to finna.
It's like a mushy big pile of turd.
And now it's like a solid, healthy dump.
Like solidified and then dipped in like gold hair dye from Party City. It looks nice. It's better than this smelly, steamy pile.
It's an excellent metaphor term.